Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Helpful Village release webinar, September 15th. We're happy to see you here for a second time. Okay, and this is the agenda of the meeting. We start with reminders, then there's a quick taxonomy short project update, release notes, and improvements of this month, text messaging, and just a discussion about the report. The discussion is not, we're not going to have it today, but it's essentially an invitation for next week's webinar so that you prepare your questions and suggestions for reports. So let's get started. We want to start with news. This news that we wanted to share is that there is the National Virtual Village Gathering. So this is the Village to Village Network Conference that happens once a year. It's taking place on October 5th to October 7th. So that's 20 days away from now. Chris, I think there's an unmute, someone that just joined that you need to mute, but that's good. So that's 20 days away from now. We really invite all villages to participate because there is always something you can learn from other villages, and we think it's a great opportunity once a year to see what other people are doing. We are definitely participating. Actually, Helpful Village is a gold sponsor of the conference because we like this conference. We're also presenting at the conference, and we are holding up on some improvements this month because we kind of wanted to keep the cool stuff, big improvements, big announcements for the conference. So we are announcing some today, but also doing the big improvement more for the conference 20 days from now. So the improvements are partly big improvements to some of the existing modules that we thought could be enhanced. And maybe there is a new module coming up. So if you wanted to know, we invite you to come to our presentation. The other thing that I want to say about our presentation for the conference is that, well, you see the dates on the screen. There is a Helpful Village presentation on the 5th of October at 1:30 Eastern. And actually what we thought, because previous years we were doing kind of, okay, this is what is Helpful Village from the beginning. And actually for this year's conference, we're not gonna do that. We're going to go with basically more of a Helpful Village advanced presentation. We're going to go very quick on the basic stuff. We don't want to show all the basics, but we'll focus on more of the differentiators, more of the advanced features that Helpful Village can help you do. So it's more, I think it's going to be more interesting for our existing customers today because we want to focus on kind of the new modules that we're launching or the new improvements or where we think we're going in the future. So I think it's going to be interesting for all our customers and also for people that don't know us, but it's going to be fast. What we wanted to do is basically say, during the conference, we do kind of this advanced presentation, and we will invite kind of the new villages that don't know about us, right, to another separate meetings. Like, okay, this is kind of the advanced version of Helpful Village. If you want to know the basics, there is a 101, at a different time, maybe the week after or something. So previous years we were doing a 101. This year we're doing I don't know what number it is, it's 201 or 202, and then we'll do a 101 at a separate time. There is another presentation we're doing at the conference this year. There is you'll find it on the agenda of the V2V conference. So there is a taxonomy project presentation. So we're doing that with Capitol Hill. You see their names on the presentation. I'm participating. So essentially Capitol Hill is going to start presenting what is the taxonomy project, and we have talked about this several times. That part, some of that already, but to see how they explain it, and then I'll also be presenting some new announcements about the taxonomy. So there is also something exciting from the tech side that we will be showing at the conference. So this is this other time. There are other also interesting presentations all over the conference, and we have also several customers presenting. So we will be highlighting those. I know Neighbors of Northern Colombia is presenting about grants. I know La Morinda Village is about what they did for COVID. The DC villages are presenting. So we'll be attending a lot of those other presentations too. So definitely a big party next month. So we invite you all to come to the conference. Registrations are open. So you find the link on the V2B network website, or we put the link there too. These are the usual reminders that we do for Helpful Village. So there is another webinar that we do with V2B next week, September 22nd. Please remember to sign up on the V2B website, the usual deal. The only difference that rather than Q&A, we're going to do especially focused about reports. And then there are some other links about the Helpful Village training docs, Another link with the help center where you can submit your requests and also have an interactive system to find answers to your questions, and the Slack, which is more inter-village communication, as you all know. Okay, this another word about next week's webinar, right? So what we did last month is we said, okay, let's do Q&A as we usually do. And then for the rest of the time, let's focus on reports. Now, what happened is that, we got so passionate about the Q&A that we spent all the time talking about Q&A. We didn't have time for reports. So basically what we're doing this month is that let's not skip the Q&A for now. We're going to do the whole webinar dedicated to reports next week on September 22nd with B2B. Now, basically, I wanted to show you a little more about these reports, right? It's like, what do we want to get out of that? It's basically want to hear from you, right? What reports you would love to have, but we don't have available, so that if we can build them. In order to build them, I wanted to show you this example that you can see on the screen. This is actually a new report we're working on already, that I'm going to explain you that report. But what I'm interested in is not necessarily on this specific report, but it's more telling you that if you can prepare for next week something similar to this, like, okay, we need this other separate report where we have these parameters, and basically what we would love to have is kind of the description of how the report works. So it's spreadsheet file with one row. So basically, let me explain this one, how this one works, right? So it's a report we're doing with villages in DC, where they want for a given date range, right? So there is a start date and end date. So let's say from the beginning of the year, they would like to have a report that is called unique participants in services received. Okay, so this report, they told us their need, but it's going to be available for all villages, right? And what is this report all about? What we want to hear from villages saying, okay, it would be a spreadsheet file where we have one row per unique receiver of services. So if a person received 2 services, we're going to only put that person once in the file in that date range. And then the columns that would be ideal to have in that report would be, well, the name of that person, the membership type, right? If it's a household, subsidized member or something, the membership status, if it's an active member, expired member or something, and not the services they received, but the count of services they received. So it's kind of, there is only one row in that report, but they received 5 services, okay? There is a second report that is very similar, actually. It's a report of unique participants and events. So for example, you can have a person that participated in 10 events, right? And we have other reports where you have all the participations of all people, but there is a new report we're working on that is unique participants and events, which is same thing. So it's explained there, same as services with count of event participations instead of services received. So it's kind of the thing that we saw for the unique participants in services received, only one row per person saying how many events this person has participated in. So first, on this slide, right, I wanted to show you one specific report we're working on. More importantly, I'm trying to show you how we would like to hear your ideas for next week. It's like, this is kind of, it sounds a little geeky or technical, but kind of this is the super easy way for us to code your report if we understand, okay, from what day to what day, how many rows, what rows are interesting. So if we understand your end game, it's easier for us to start working on that report. If you're not able to put your needs in this form, and you can only express it with words because your brain is wired differently, that's totally fine. We're still gonna listen, right? But when you explain us what you need, we will translate into something that looks like this for the developer.
Manuel?
Yes.
It's Carol. Hi.
Hey, Carol.
So that's one that we're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, we'd like to see the same thing for the unique volunteers.
Yes.
Delivering services for a period.
Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
yeah. So that's great. So the thing that we want for next week, right, is that we'll spend more time, Carol, when you're saying that, right, so that we kind of create a document saying, okay, these are the different, this is explained and we understand what it is. There's one missing, which is the unique volunteers that do it. And then we have this list. The idea of next week is that we have a full list of cool reports that we could be working on. This one specifically, as I said, is going to be available to everybody, and we're already working on it. So don't worry about this one, but just about others that we would not have. By the way, I also wanted to clarify that this report is a specific report that's going to be useful for some of the grants or for some grant that they receive. So many times you also should think, if you have grant or funding opportunities for your village, right, but they require data in a given way, like this one, right? While they were working with our existing reports, doing some Excel work on their own, spending some time trying to do that because they needed to report for the grant every, I don't know, 3 months or something like that. And we said, well, you should not be doing that complicated math every time. Maybe we can code it once and that's it. So if you have grant applications or needs and stuff like that, that would need a specific report, we're happy to code that for you so that you have it easy, every month and stuff. Okay, so that's for reports, and that's what the fun party we have next week on the 22nd. Okay, my computer is doing something funny. Oh, wait. I'm gonna go to the next slide. There we go. Cool, we're on it. So this is a well-known slide. So basically saying, the national coordinator of the Helpful Village Users Group is Gary, that is on the call, and he's with us from Jersey Village Senior Outreach. So we work closely with Gary because usually ahead of each webinar, basically we take the questions ahead of time. So this week, so Gary will be running the webinar next week. And sometimes if you think it's a good idea to send him stuff ahead of time because it will help the discussion, conversation, or give us more time to think about it, you can always contact Gary on this email address, which is hbusers@b2vnetwork.org. So you know how to reach Gary. This really reminder, you have these important links about there is a training docs guide that is the guide to all the Helpful Village documentation. And then there is also a help center where you can search your questions and then submit your requests. When you submit your request, sometimes to Helpful Village team, also the system is going to suggest you some kind of possible questions you may be wondering, and you find the answer for yourself. And if you don't find the answer, you can send it and create a ticket. When you create a ticket, basically, as you see here, there are two different things. One, if it's a bug, really a question, you can send it as we showed on the Help Center, or that is under support.helpfulvillage.com. If you're submitting a new idea, which is not a bug, not something that is not working, but it's something that we could be a good addition or something new that we're doing, usually you would use this other form that is under ask.helpfulvillage.com. So it's really important that you submit your tickets and bugs or questions to Help Center, because we need to solve those first. And then when we have all the bugs under control, we focus on the improvement ideas. Nothing new there. So those were the reminders. We can move on to the taxonomy project. So this is a quick update. So we're not going to explain what a taxonomy is. If you have questions, if you're new to this webinar and you don't know what a taxonomy is, you can check on YouTube. There is a YouTube channel for Helpful Village. And we record these webinars. The webinar last month explaining what a taxonomy is. So you can always go there and check. But we wanted to give you a quick update. So first thing, super important project that we are co-leading with Capitol Hill Village. We are asking basically villages to participate because we think it's great. And to date, we have received more than 50, basically 50 participant villages that are part of this project. I know Christina has spent quite some time explaining people what this is about and what we need and why we're doing that. If you already authorized, well, thank you, because I think we're doing this together and it's awesome. And if you haven't, you can always contact Christina and she can explain to you how to do this. Why we're doing that is because we need a better understanding of villages' work. If each village is working separately, it's hard to understand what's the impact of villages on a regional scale or the national scale. And then at the same time, also, if we're all using this taxonomy, which is a universal definition of services, we can potentially create reports that show the impact and then basically make it easier to receive more funding and grants. So basically, if we're counting apples with apples and oranges with oranges, we can talk with foundations or the government or potential funders to say, hey, we're doing all this work all together collectively. So this is so good that you need to give us the money. So, okay, so we're good. Chris, you're monitoring the chat, right? Because for people that are not used to it, I cannot read it. And,
yes, don't worry. Yeah.
Cool, perfect. Okay, I'm just, I have Google Slides giving me a hard time because oh wait, no, it did change the slide. Okay, so what I was saying, if you want to be part of the project, you have questions, you can email Christina, the email address that is shown there. And then also the other thing that I wanted to clarify is that the only thing you're sharing is the service categories. So what are your volunteer activities, the name of the activities you're doing, and the event category, the name of the event categories that you're doing. So there is no personal data, there is no email, no names, no nothing, no age, no nothing, only the name of your volunteer service. So there is no risk for basically for the privacy of your members and volunteers. This I already explained, but it's basically, if we do that, right, we have more comprehensive data and we can have a better understanding of what's going on. So that's one of the benefits of the taxonomy project. Okay, we would like to all villages to be part of it. Yeah, maybe there is one clarification Christina added here, which is good. If your village is in development, right? Because she has been talking with some and they say, well, we don't have our services going, so I don't know if we can participate. Well, the thing is, I think yes, right? So for now, what we're asking is for an authorization. So whenever you're ready, you're already part of the group and the conversation and stuff like that. And then, whenever your services are ready and you start operating your services, obviously those service names will become more relevant for the village data. But we would be super happy if the in development villages also participate in the taxonomy project, even if they don't have, kind of a ton of data to contribute. That's totally fine. Good point, Chris. Now, Google Slides giving me some hard time because I need to switch my slides. Okay, there we go. Release notes. Okay, so this is kind of the new features and implementations we have done this month. And so let's get right to it. So basically, the first thing is that the vetting steps. So you're already familiar with the vetting steps because we have these functionality steps on the volunteer tab, right? So you can already enter the volunteer tab information, but actually there is also a kind of a vetting process for members. So we just added the exact same table that works in the exact same way on the member tab. So basically you can, have record all the vetting steps for your members on the member tab. So it says, requests that had been made by villages. It works in the exact same way. So you already trained to know how that works. This is another improvement we did. We have a report about these vetting steps, but we realized, I think one of our villages let us know, I think it was Petaluma, that there was a column missing, which is like, okay, it was a vetting that we received as a member or as a volunteer or something. There's an additional column in the spreadsheet report. Yes, so this is another quick improvement, and also we want to thank you, Petaluma, for this. So we have a member directory, right? So you have the possibility to activate or deactivate a possibility to have, a member directory where, contact information about your members that is only visible to your members. Now, this directory has different settings, right? You can choose if you want to show their phone numbers, if you want to show their email address, or if you want to show their physical address. For some villages, it's okay to show all of that because, they know each other and they don't see there is a privacy problem if only members can see that. Some villages think it's for privacy reasons, they don't want to show all that information. For example, we have one village, they don't want to show the physical address of their members, right, in the directory. So there is already a setting. If you go to helpful village settings, you can hide the physical address from the directory. But that directory is also showing a map at the bottom. And then even if you were disabling the address, and if you were not showing the address, we're still showing the map. So now we're no longer showing the map. If you're not showing the address in the directory, we should not show the map. So we will no longer be showing that one. Okay, this is a functionality we discussed last month. Now the difference is that now it's done. So it exists. We have it ready. So there is a new menu option that will show under people admin, people management. And it's called duplicates, right? What happened in the past is that, you have your members that maybe exist with a given email address, but sometimes people have more than one email address and they were registering for other events with a different email address. And we couldn't know if it's John Smith and John Smith, if it is the same person or a different person. So sometimes we ended up with some duplicates in the database, and we added a tool that helps you navigate through those duplicates. First thing is that there is an automatic feature that allows you to detect the duplicate. So what we're doing here is very simple. Like we look at the homonyms, right? They have the same people that have the same first name and the same last name. And then if we have those, we're showing them on a page, and they're saying, okay, these guys have the same first name and last name. Maybe they're different people, but maybe they're the same person, and you want to go through that and just merge them. So I'm going to show you that page later, but basically it says also kind of the number of duplicate profiles that we found. I have a demo for this, so we'll look at this later. This is part of the demo. So basically, you know, when we're detecting the duplicates, there is a table that will look like this, right? So basically here you have Joel with first name, Cortez, last name. And then we had her on the demo side with 2 different email addresses. So this is a good example of a duplicate. So we can select 2 of them. Actually, there can be more than 2, right? Because we can have duplicates or triplicates or something if we have 4 people with the same name. So you choose the 2 that you want to merge, right? And you select this one and that one, and then you click compare. And then when you compare, we're going to go to the next slide that looks like this, where basically it's like you have side by side the comparison of one user and the other user in the database, right? So you have here is first name, last name. The email address of this profile is this one. This other email profile is this one, etc. And then you can see for other data associated with that profile. So basically here, you see that this profile has a donation on their record, and this other person also has a donation on their record, right? And then basically with this tool, what you can do is that if you check on that checkbox here to the right, you will be able to merge, basically send that donation to this other profile, right, in green. It's going to be more interesting when we do the actual demo later today. Okay, there is that's for duplicates. There is another feature that is similar that actually we group together. So it's under people management duplicates, but it's about cleaning up users. So there's a button there that is called clean up users. And then when you click on that button, basically we're gonna show on this slide what it looks like. It's a page that will show users like this one, where you have this first name, and you maybe have seen those on the database, just these spam robots on the internet. And I really hate that, but basically just people have robots submitting kind of registration for events, or just, you know, with stupid names like this. And then basically is fake data. So a lot of these users came into the database before we added the CAPTCHA. So now we have a CAPTCHA on the event registration and stuff like that, which makes that, hey, kind of some sort of robot detection technology from Google that we're using. And if Google sees that the person went to the registration page and we're able to fill out the form in 0.5 seconds, that's not humanly possible. So Google is applying some formula to say, no, this looks like a robot. I don't believe that. And if they think you're a robot, they're going to present you with this challenge, right? Which says, okay, I don't know. It's usually kind of choose these pictures or whatever, something like that. If Google doesn't think you're a robot, they don't show anything. So sometimes maybe you have not seen anything. Anyway, the result is that sometimes you may have kind of some users, low quality users in your database. We created a page that allows you to clean that. So it looks like this. First name, last name. So here, you know, with the first name and last name like this, chances are this guy is not very good. You can show the profile and basically go see if for any reason it's a real person or not. We're going to show you the kind of payments, event participation associated with that person. If there is other data associated, usually a bad user would have 0, 0, and 0. So basically, you can select it from the checkbox there and just archive the selected users. That allows you to clean up your database. It's going to be part of the demo also. This is also another item we discussed last month. So we added a new field to the database under the general tab, which is a preferred name, which we had a long discussion last time about if we were calling it nickname or preferred name. So we're going with preferred name in the end. So the new field is there, and you can obviously use it. I remember I discussed with Margie from Bay2San also, which I think she was quite happy about that. So Carol, you can let her know. We will be using those also in some of the emails. We are also using the preferred name in the email templates and stuff like that. But basically that's one new field, kind of more kind of nickname or preferred name. And while we were adding this field, we added another one that is also in the general tab, but there's this more section where these kind of fields that are not as used as kind of a name, etc., where we also added the pronouns. So for villages that are using, different pronouns, they can now store them in the database too. We added them to here, the user interface. These fields also became available in the spreadsheet reports that we produced. Okay, this is another feature in a different area. So this is in events. Okay, so this is actually Potomac Village in Maryland reported to us when you're registering, when you're a member and you're logged in, or you're an admin actually, when you're registering a member, basically there is a checkbox that allows you to register also the associated members. You see that there at the bottom of the screen. So when you're doing the registration for this one person, you can at the same time register this person and the partner. So this was working when it was a new registration. What the improvement we did this month is simply that we were not adding the associated member if you were editing a registration. So what happened to Potomac is that they had a member that had signed up, they were in the participants list, and suddenly they thought, oh, I also want my partner or wife or husband to come. And then they went into that record and they wanted to basically, they went to basically the first member and they wanted to check onto the associated member and they submitted, but we were not saving when you were updating. So the updating was not working, but just fixed it. So if you have never had this problem, don't worry about this. But other than that, I want to thank Potomac for that feedback. So because allowed us to fix that. Before editing, well,
that's what you just explained. Before editing, you have 2 people, and after editing, Lisa, then you have 3 people because you have the partner. Yeah.
You're right. Thank you, Chris. So now you can see that Christina did this slide. So because I didn't know what it was about, but basically it's the same improvement. It's like when you click on the associated member and then you save, then it's going to create 2 participants in the participant list, one for the member A and associated member B. So that's how it looks like after checking that checkbox. So that looks good. Thank you, Chris. Oh, actually, you see here, so that was before editing and this after editing. Okay, another feature is text messaging. So we had actually text messaging. This is a premium feature. We had done some work about it, but now we have also added some improvements to it because we're working on it with one of the villages. And these are the improvements we have done to text messaging. First is that you can find the text messages when you go to the admin profile, and then you go to the activity tab. All villages see there the possibility to have the emails, right? And then you send emails to that person and you can apply the templates there. You can also send the text messages from there. I mean, if you activated the premium feature, if it's not activated, it's not gonna show. But basically the way it works is that it's showing there the message, right? What was the text message that was sent, who sent it, basically the admin that was logged in at this time, and at what time, date and time where he sent it. And actually the interesting thing here is that the text messaging goes both ways. So if you decide to send a text message, let's say to a volunteer, it can be a member, and they receive the text message and they reply, their reply is going to be stored on their profile too, right? So basically what happened here is Christina sent me a text message. This is my profile actually. And then I received it. And then I responded to that message, and basically Helpful Village received it on this other date. So basically it's a sent message to the person, this is a received message from the person. So it goes both ways. And then the next slide is that this is also a new feature, is that what we were doing before is you receive a text message and then what happens? And hopefully you go to their profile and you see what's happening, but we added a notification email. So every time your village receives that text message, we're now sending an email to the admin saying, hey, well, it reads exactly like this. Say, hi, the village received a text message from the user, right? That is associated with that number. And the message reads, text message from this, Manuel Best, etc. So you can see the text, the actual text of the text message. You don't need to go to the profile. We're gonna include it in the email. But then you can also have a link, click on the link to the profile and basically just go check the text messages on the profile. Yeah, now we're thinking about other additional interesting things with text message. Also, you have some ideas, you can let us know. But yeah, we think it's, I mean, we received several requests from villages saying that for some volunteers, it makes a difference to be contacted through text messages rather than email. Ooh, okay. Yeah, so this is something, Chris, I thought you had added the print screen here, but basically we're working on something which is a new Word template. So remember we have a Word template, a Microsoft Word. So that allows you to do a kind of a snail mail kind of message. And we had it for the thank you letter for donations. right? That it was working already. Now we have a new template, a Word template, so a document template. For example, we encourage you to start creating a Word document that is called Renew Member. And that Renew Member, you will be able to apply it very soon on the next release to the member profile. So I'm going to show you on the demo site how it looks like. Discussion about
there is a question
Yes.
on the chat for preferred name. Will that be used in email merge? And if nothing is in preferred, then it will use first name?
Yes, exactly. That's it. So you use preferred name. What it does is that it looks, if there is a preferred name, it will use the kind of the nickname. And if the nickname is empty, it's going to use the first name instead.
Okay,
okay,
you
cool.
can move on, yeah.
Yeah, so cool. So let me see what we have here. Basically, I'm going to finish with the slides and then move on to the demo because I think I have only 2 more slides. This one slide is that just please remember about next week webinar about reporting. So all your ideas, you can start preparing them. Always contact Gary if you have questions about the webinar, and that's basically for what's happening next week. But for what's happening this week, I'm going to switch and open our demo site here. The other thing that I usually say is that the improvement that I'm going to show now, they are working on demo, but they will only arrive to your, as usual, to your village website this weekend. So it's normal if you don't see these improvements yet. We deploy them on the weekend when there is less office activity. Okay, I wanted to show you a few things. First, let me log in. Wait a minute, I need a password. Thank you. Okay, logging in, sign in successfully. I want to show you a few things. First is if you go to the documents library here, documents library. And then in the documents library, there is a folder that is called admin docs. If you go to admin docs, you will see a few documents you have in there. Word templates for HV. So, you know, you can create your own also folders and put documents in here and move your folders and stuff. But for the automatic Word templates are in this folder that is called like this Word templates for HV. So if you navigate the documents library to that folder, you'll be able to see some documents here. So this is basically the thank you letter for your donation you can use. And then there is a membership renewal template. And basically the way you get there is you can create a new document. Once you're in the folder, right? It's the best way to do it. And then you can call it member renewal. Actually, the name of the actual name of document is not very important. What I mean is that if you want to call it membership renewal, member renewal, it's not going to change anything. Letter. But then what is interesting here is that, yeah, you will need to keep it in the Word templates for HV. So it's the right folder. Who can read it? Yeah, only admins can read this document. And then the other thing is Word template for HV for which task. So here's where you need to choose now. You know, you can use one Word template for thank you for your donation that you had before. And we added the membership renewal template. So you can add it here and then upload a file. You click here on choose file. You go on into your computer and you find your Word document that you have prepared ahead of time. And then you submit it and you save. And then you save, and then it's gonna, your membership renewal template is gonna be used. You will not be able to use that template at this point, the membership renewal, but you can start preparing it because it's gonna come next month. So next month you'll be able to apply the Word kind of a snail mail kind of renewal letter for your members. And so you can start working on that. Okay, so that's for membership renewals. I wanted to show you a few more things here. Yeah.
Sorry, Manuel, this is a question. Can there be more than one template for different membership types?
Yes. Yes. Yes, it's a good question. So yes, you can create more than one template. It's not a problem at all. What I was thinking is that when we're using for the thank you letter for the donation, we're using only one. Anyways, the answer is yes, but I'll explain next time. But that's all good. So basically now the other thing that I wanted to show here, if you go to Manuel Acevedo on the activity tab. So we have these emails that we're sending. Thank you for your volunteer application. Thank you for your donation, stuff like that. This is for the text messages sent. And as I explained before, we received the message from the member that saying, is there cake? Happy birthday to Thomas. It is something that we sent. Actually, so my user sent this message to the member, but actually, because I was talking to myself, so that's how many friends I have. I also responded, and this is basically a message received from the member. So you can see them there, and then basically how text messaging works, which is you can send text message from here, and then basically gonna open up a new page where basically, we're sending this message from me because I'm the user that is logged in, and basically here just type the text of the message and then at the end send. So it's really easy. It's the same thing as the email, but basically obviously go through the text messaging profile, and this is gonna send the text message to the cell phone that is recorded on the member profile, right? So that's how that works. Okay, the other aspect we wanted to show is here, admin, people management, duplicates, right? So when you go to the duplicate page, it's gonna contain some explanations about what is a duplicate profile, why do we have duplicates, etc. So just we wanted to, because it's kind of a weird name, want to explain people why. This is a little video, but basically the kind of the functionalities at the bottom of this page. There are two buttons. One is detect duplicate, the other one is clean fake users. So let's start with this one, clean fake users. So it's gonna run a query on the database, and basically this actually, at this time we only have one fake user that had a weird name like this, has 4 associated data, etc. So one thing I could do is I'm absolutely sure that this is trash because it's humanly impossible to have a person with that name. So I can archive that selected user. That's one option. In some cases, there is maybe something weird, but maybe it's a true person. So you may want to go in, show the profile. And when you click on show profile, basically that's going to take you to the personal page of that person that has, a weird name for sure. But then you see here that he had, he was a previous member. So there's associated member with that. So basically you can talk to your team. Is that a test member that we have? Because it's not a real one, but maybe it's a test one. So maybe you don't want to delete it. So you have possibility to check those. And then if it's not good, definitely go into your general tab, and you can also archive it from here, right? Boom, archive from user. Okay, so that's one case. So that's for cleaning up the fake users. If we go back in again, it's people management, duplicates. And then on the duplicates page, we're going to go to the bottom of that page, and this other button that's called detect duplicates. Okay, so it takes a little bit of time because we're going to go through the whole website and look people that have the same name. So basically here we had 2 people that have this name, John Smith and John Smith. As I said before, maybe these 2 people are the same person, maybe they're not. So what we're going to do here is that you can you can select those profiles here, and then you click compare. And then when you compare, we're gonna open up a new page. Also takes some time because we're checking all the data. And basically what we see is this. So basically this John Smith is actually the same first name and same last name. So there is no point in merging that into the same name. But here it gets a little bit more interesting, right? So this profile here, which is a kind of our preferred one, doesn't have an address in it. And this one has an address in it. So we say, hey, you know what? If we're merging those, I'd rather click on this checkbox here. And then basically we're going to keep that address for the profile. You can also look at here if there is other associated data or transactions. There are payments. There are no payments actually, and there are no other kind of event registrations. If they were, you could potentially switch those to go from one side to the other. There's another also something that is particular here. Is about the email, right? Because something that happens quite often is that, okay, you know through your own means or comparing the data that is the same profile. But we give you the possibility to say, okay, we want to merge it. And this is actually the secondary email. This email belongs to the same person. So if you check this box, we're gonna add this field as a secondary email to this first person, right? So that's how you do it. So before, what you were doing before is that sometimes when you had a duplicate, you were creating a new ticket. Usually Christina got it. He was coming to me and we were kind of going to the database to transfer that data. Now you can do it automatically yourselves, selecting the data that you want to integrate. The data that you keep is actually whatever is in green. Actually, there is a little issue here, so we'll fix before this weekend. But basically, when I checked on this box, this will become green. So basically, the data we're keeping is actually the green data. And then also, when you're done with that, you can do two things. For example, you have merge. He's going to create only one. He's going to transfer all the data that is in green to the main profile, right? That is in green. But in some cases, you can also have another button where you say, okay, I want to keep both profiles because these actually are two different people. It can be Manuel Acevedo. And guess what? My father's name was also Manuel Acevedo for real, in real life. So we're real homonyms, and you want to keep both homonyms in the database. So in that case, you can keep both profiles and they will no longer show on the duplicate profile. We will know that these people actually have the same name. Okay, cool. So that's how that works. Now there's another trick that is interesting here, okay? Because you can go through this duplicate page and the duplicate page, sorry, here and here. This is we're scanning the database with people that have the same first name and last name. Now you can also have duplicates that don't have the same first name and last name, right, in the database, because maybe someone that signed up with his preferred name or something like that, right? So in that case, we allow you to search the person. So you can do like this, look. You can go here, Manuel. You can search the person in the usual way. And on the general tab of this person, there is a link. You go scroll down. For now, it's here. Maybe we're gonna move this link, probably end up here near the archive thing, but it's basically the possibility to merge this person with another duplicate. So if you click on this, it's gonna open the compare page. And at this time, we're comparing with nobody. You see what I'm saying? You just got this same user is here, ready to be compared with something, but you can search and compare this with another person. For example, here we say, okay, I think there is a Miguel in the database, right? Which is the same person, should not be called Miguel. So I can search whatever here, and then it just select it. And that's another way by which we can also compare two profiles side by side. So there you go. So now we have Manuel and Miguel, and we're comparing two profiles. Oh, actually, this is pretty good that I did this, because you can see here other thing we have in the database. So this is donations that have been recorded on my profile. So this profile has a lot of donation and a lot of event participations. This one has none. Actually, in this particular case, you see the tags, you see provided service requests. Yeah, so you see kind of associated data with one or the other, and you can move. In this particular case, these are actually not the same people, so we're not going to merge them. But if you know of duplicates in the database, you can search it. Now imagine that this is not Miguel. This is not Miguel that I wanted. You can click on this button. It's going to remove the second person, and then we can search this other potential duplicate person we have in the database, right? So you see, it went back, and then actually it typed Miguel, but actually I want to say Manuel. And actually there is a Jose Manuel Correa. And then you can say, okay, I want to compare this one with this one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to the database, fetch the information about this other person. And basically, as you can see here, actually, they are not true duplicates either, because this is kind of Manuel, this Jose Manuel, different names. But basically, supposedly, if you're duplicates, obviously, they will be much closer, and you have the possibility to merge this information. Okay, perfect. So that's basically the new merge functionality. As I said before, there will be a little improvement we'll do, because I know there is something with the colors that we did. Basically, red is what you don't keep, and green is the information that you will keep. So here the address on the right would show as green, and the address on the left would show as red. But that will be fixed before this weekend. And with that, I'm almost done with the demo. Maybe I can show one last thing here, which is on the personal profile. just the 2 new fields that we added. So it's here, email, first name. Now we have preferred name and middle name and last name. They were the same, but just they added preferred name here. So you can leave it empty if there is none. And then basically, if it's a Jim or John or something, you can add it in preferred name so that the way the person wants to be addressed as. And the other field we added is here under more. There are more fields. This is the bio that is used in the user profile that is kind of essentially visible to other members. Salutation, mailing name, external name, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, if you want to use those fields. Then we added this other field here if you want to use it also, which is he, him, his, etc., and other pronouns you can use. Perfect. So that's basically the improvement for today. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is gonna stop sharing and then open up the room for questions. So if anyone has questions, this is perfect time to do it. Or Christina, if you have seen something on the chat that you wanted to raise or something, that also works for me. So now it's time. If anyone wants to come in, just please remember to unmute yourself, and we're all ears.
Can you hear me, Manuel?
Hi, Ray.
Hi, Ray. Hi, Manuel. So what was the change on the member report that you mentioned also?
On the member report, I mean, we're adding this preferred name to the report. So it now shows on the user interface, but it also shows in the report.
No, I thought there was something also you mentioned about steps or something.
Yeah, the vetting steps. Yeah. So it's I can show you. Let me share my screen again. Okay, let's show 2 different things. So this is my profile, right? So this is what we had before. This is a volunteer tab with my volunteer activities and notes and kind of all these other fields. And then we had this before already. Vetting steps are here on the volunteer tab. When you are vetting a new volunteer, you want to do the background check. You can add your vetting steps here. That can be, I don't know, criminal check or any other check, and then you say here if it's missing, requested, received, on what date and what expiration date for that one if you have comments. So you can add your vetting steps to your volunteer. What is new also on this version, I mean this month, it's going to come up this weekend, it's like now you have the same vetting possibilities on the member tab. This was not on the vetting tab before. So that is here now. And then now the other thing that, but more to your question, is if you go to reports, reporting docs, and then in reporting docs, you can produce a report that contains all those vetting steps. If you want to know where you're at with the vetting steps, you can go here, and then under all people, there's a vetting steps report. And that vetting steps report now has an extra column of saying, well, this is a vetting step, because you can vet actually different things. You can vet members, you can vet volunteers, you can also vet vendors. If you have professional providers, I know some villages are checking kind of the business license and stuff like that. So if you do that, you create the report. There's a new column on this report that is, they are being vetted as what.
Okay, so we know, right, what category it's in. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question, Ray.
Sure.
Okay, I don't know, we have other questions. Or maybe we don't. It's totally okay. If you don't have questions, that would be I need to make a mark somewhere, because we never finish our meetings ahead of time. We're usually kind of a few minutes late and start stressing out about, oh, I'm so sorry for being past the time. So it's kind of funny. But we can for the first time ever, we can finish 5 minutes in advance. That's totally fine with me. Maybe the last thing I would say is that we have a webinar next week. So as you all know, I repeated several times. And the other thing is the conference. The conference, the registrations are open. Maybe you have been to a conference before. I know this year, because the conference is online, there will be more participants, because it's easier for, maybe, the leadership team, but also maybe some members to register for the event. We think it's a great opportunity to get all together. So if you are considering participating, we would love to see you there and chat and share a moment at the B2B conference. So that would be pretty good. Cool.
Actually, Manuel, I have a question about the vetting steps I just thought of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect.
Is it possible to have a standard list of vetting steps? Like you
Mhm.
can have a drop down and choose, so you're not typing the same things over and over again.
Yes. No, it's a great question. I can kind of maybe rephrase it here, but I know exactly what you mean, because it happened to me too. It's like when you go here to Manuel. Yeah, so we were on the person's profile, or imagine you have a new volunteer that is coming in. Usually VDTs have kind of standard vetting steps, right? Kind of, well, for every new volunteer, we're gonna do these 3 things: background check, criminal check, sex offender check, and I don't know what other check maybe you would be running, right? So it's kind of a little bit of a pity if here you need to come in and type it every time here, kind of, criminal check or something like that. And you need to remember what the steps. The way I understand Leslie's question, but obviously Leslie, let me know if I'm wrong, is that when you're creating the new vetting steps for a volunteer, we could kind of, for a new volunteer, we could create these 3 vetting steps at missing, right? And then, okay, they're there, they are not completed, but they are already there. So you can just follow the indication of what vetting step they are. So Leslie, first thing I wanted to make sure that was your question.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yes. So yeah, great point. So what we have at this point is that, yes, it's possible to do it. I know that I'm doing it with a kind of a trick in the database in behind. If you tell me what steps, I kind of can do it, which I'm not super proud of, in the sense that it would be better if you can define them yourself. So yeah, I think the better answer is yes. I think that's an improvement idea that makes a ton of sense. And then we should allow you to define what are the vetting steps that you want to default for each one of these different types of vetting. If it's for members, if it's for volunteers, so that we can populate that automatically with, with what vetting step and what's the status that would be kind of missing at this point until you change that. Cool.
Yes,
So,
that'd be great.
yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you for that point. Cool. Anyone else? Maybe not. So if we don't have anybody else, it's totally fine, because we're meeting again next week, and then we're meeting again in 20 days. So we're meeting all the time. We don't need to, push it today. So last thing I would say is thank you everybody for coming to the webinar today. We'll put the recording as usual on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then we also post it on Slack. So thank you everybody, and we look forward to meeting with you next week again. Okay, bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.